Hi everybody, welcome back to Lions and Warriors Return to Forever. I am Emily Orchid and we are in the middle of chapter 2 of Daniel. And Daniel is called Belteshazzar by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. So he's just informed the king that he's able, through God Almighty's wisdom, to reveal and interpret the strange dream that Nebuchadnezzar has, that none of the other wise men or astrologers or magicians or sorcerers can figure out. Okay, we're picking it up. Verse 29 of chapter 2, Daniel. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into my mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter. And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. He that revealeth is God. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known, their sakes that you're not going to kill them, because I'm going to tell you. So this is for their sake that I'm telling you this, so that you don't kill them. That shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that you mightest know the thoughts of thy heart, of your own heart. Thou, O king, sawest and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet were part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were made of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. So he's telling them that this is what your dream was. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer. Chaff is a part of wheat. When they process the wheat and cut it down, the chaff is the unusable stuff that gets thrown away. So now a stone had cut and broken this figure into pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, where they process the wheat. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote or destroyed the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. What could the stone have been? Jesus? God? This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. O king, art a king of kings, for the God, thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. So right off the bat, Daniel tells Nebuchadnezzar, you are who you are a big king with a big kingdom, but the only reason you are a king with a big kingdom is because God has allowed it. So don't forget that. And whoever the children of men, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and the fowls, the birds of the heaven, hath he, God, given into thine hand. He's given all of that into your hand, Nebuchadnezzar, and hath made you ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. So Daniel's telling him, the gold head in the dream is you, the king of Babylon. That's what it represents. And after thee shall rise, after you arise another king, another kingdom inferior to thee, inferior to you, and another third kingdom of brass. So he didn't say silver, but he said a next kingdom inferior to you is the silver one, and then another third kingdom of brass. And what was the brass? The brass was the head was the gold, the breast and the arms was the silver, and the belly and the thighs was the brass. So the brass is going to be the third kingdom after Babylon. And the third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So I don't know if it's going to say it here, but through a lot of research, I know it can tell you that the head of gold represented Babylon, the Babylonian Empire. The silver breast and arms. The breast and arms of silver, that's going to be Mesopotamia, which will be the empire that follows Babylonian. And then the brass, which makes up the belly and the thighs, that's going to be the Greek Empire. And then the iron, the legs of iron, that's going to be the Roman Empire. And then the feet part is iron and part clay. So even though like the Roman Empire as we know it has been gone a long time, it still kind of resides like under the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, which it is really a lot bigger and in control that you might realize. And there's a lot of discrepancy on what the feet are, the iron and clay feet. What could, obviously iron and clay don't really mix that great together, so it's not going to be that stable. So the question I have is, what are these people that are part Roman and part something else? We know from Revelation that there's hybrids in the end time. I mean, is that what it's talking about? Hybrids? transhumanism, perhaps. I'm not sure. Let's keep going here. And maybe somebody already has it all figured out and they already told you, but this is our Bible study between me and you, and I'm just not sure yet. Okay. Backing up. O King, thou, you, O King, art a King of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he, God, given into thine, into your hand, and hath made you ruler over all of them. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall rise another kingdom, inferior to thee, the silver one, which is Mesopotamia, and another third kingdom of brass, which will be the Greek Empire, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, which is the Roman Empire. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these things, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So he's saying the Roman Empire is going to be really mighty and destructive and just rack up a bunch of stuff. And whereas you sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. What is that? Some cat. And part of iron. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Has this happened yet? Because he's talking about the future here. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. Here in the index it says, and whereas the fifth power is now to be described, the feet and the toes, it came into possession of Jerusalem, Rome having held the city for 600 years from the battle of Actium. Its character as described is exact, and as represented by the feet, Jerusalem has indeed been trodden down, as was never done by any of the other four powers. So, is Jerusalem the feet? Part of the feet? Well, it says that Jerusalem was trodden down worse by the Roman Empire than any of the other three, than any others. Okay, and it says miry means muddy. It's a miry, muddy clay. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry, muddy clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Somebody's mingling themselves with the seed of men. So it's something that isn't a man. Could it be a fallen angel? Could it... We'll learn a lot more about fallen angels when we start at the beginning with Genesis 6. Where was I? And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves the iron is the Romans, shall mix themselves with miry clay, with muddy clay. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So these are two people, two entities that don't belong together, that have been mixed together. All it says in the index here is that Jerusalem is trodden down by the feet of this power, but it doesn't it doesn't say who this clay is. The toes, not mixed with, mingleth not. That is the moment of the great stone and of the coming of Messiah. But he wrote this before Jesus, a few hundred years before Jesus. So I'm not seeing it say what the clay was. Who was the clay? Again, they shall, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another. They're not going to mix well, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Because Jesus is going to come during the Roman Empire, because it's going to be the Romans that are who's going to kill him. And like I said, even now the Romans are still kind of in charge via the Vatican, Roman Catholic Church. And in these days, these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. So that new kingdom hasn't been made yet here in 2021, because we know from Revelation that when Jesus comes back, the second advent, when he sets up kingdom in Jerusalem, that's going to be the start of the eternal kingdom, whether it's 100% heaven in the kingdom, or like we talked about yesterday, if indeed there is 1,000-year millennial reign that has yet to come, where it's going to be a time of learning. Some people don't believe this, but from what we read yesterday, what was described was that there's going to be an area in Jerusalem off to the side where there's still profane, simple people. So not everybody's going to be redeemed and perfect yet. So that's why I think, I believe that there will be 1,000-year millennial kingdom first, where some of the stragglers that didn't have the opportunity to learn the truth and make a rational decision of whether they wanted to be saved and redeemed by the blood of Jesus will have that opportunity during that 1,000-year millennial reign, while we are in the spiritual body. And the priests, the Zadok priests, some of which are sojourners grafted in to Israel, people like me that I don't think I'm really from there originally, but who knows. But some of us are grafted in, that we've already received our immortal body. We've been redeemed already for eternity with God. But there are some people that will still have their immortality in that 1,000-year millennial, if that's a true thing, where they'll be in their immortal body, or in their spiritual body, and the devil will be locked up in the pit for 1,000 years, so they'll have time not to be bothered with illnesses or the temptations of the devil. That they'll have the opportunity to learn during that 1,000 years whether they want to receive Jesus and the Almighty Father and have salvation and live eternally in heaven with God, which is going to be awesome, or if they're going to opt to go to hell and burn and live a tortured, lost existence, worse than we can possibly conceive of in this life, in this earthly second earth, what do you call it, from second earth age that we're in right now. We don't have any concept of how terrible that is. Okay, anyway, I got a little off track there, but I just wanted to do a quick review. And yeah, from what we talked about in Ezekiel, the end of Ezekiel, especially yesterday, I'm of the belief that we are going to go through a 1,000-year millennial for learning, and some of us will be priests and teachers trying to help our close family members see the truth. Although it said you could help your mother, your father, your brother, your son, your daughter, but it didn't say it said your unmarried sister. And I'm kind of worried about that because I have two sisters, and one of them's married and the other one's pretty close to married. And so in that case, because they're now of that husband's family, for some reason you can't reach them. I'm really frustrated by that. That's why I want to help them now in this. But I pray every day for my family. I love them so much. All right, we need to get back on track here. Okay. All right, I'll just repeat what I said. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of man, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. It's compared to that. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. 1,000-year millennial kingdom, and then permanent heaven on earth, never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest, this is still Daniel describing Nebuchadnezzar's dream to him. For as much as you sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces, the mountain broke in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, all the empires. The mountain broke all of it, because he's God, and Jesus. The great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. This is a done deal. It's gonna happen. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel. Let me lift this up a little bit here. I got a big Bible here. Then the king, I got the ceiling fan on because I live in the desert and it's like 110 degrees today. Okay, then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped David and commanded that they should offer an oblation, remember a heave offering, and sweet odors unto him, gifts, pretty fragrances and nice things. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your God, which is the real God, is a God of gods and a Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. Nebuchadnezzar believes him. He knows that it's for real. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Wow, so he goes from lowly eunuch, Israelite from Judah in captivity of Babylon to now being, in charge of everything because Nebuchadnezzar really likes him now. Okay, then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So he's like, hook my boys up here and give them a good position too. So now Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel are all like in charge of the province of Babylon, just right one spot below the king. But Daniel gets to hang out in the gate with the king directly. Okay. And now that's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3 looks kind of long, so maybe we're almost at 30 minutes. We'll stop this video right here and take a break. And then next time we'll pick it up. Chapter 3 of Daniel. All right, I love the book of Daniel. This is awesome. All right, thank you for joining me, Emily Orchid, here at Lions and Warriors Return to Forever. If you find this video helpful today, please hit the like button. And if you want to be a regular part of this Bible study, please subscribe to this channel, Lions and Warriors Return to Forever. I love you guys. God bless you. I'll see you next time.